Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live, brought to you by NordVPN. Your chance for premium cyber security, all for the price of a coffee and donut every month. Tonight I'm joined by Keith Jackson and Mick Gannon. Keith, how's it up to your liking, that little intro?
Yeah, you're a donut.
Throw in the donut.
Where'd I get these donuts? got my coffee, but where'd I get a donut? They're quite nice, actually.
They'll be gratis. Well, Keith will get that organised for next week. That'll be a new sponsor.
Mick, you're off the donuts.
No, that's it done. That's it. I'm back on the donuts again.
Are you?
It's just, that treadmill behind you's disappeared.
It's back on Gumtree again.
The only place
you join us at statement o'clock, Daniel.
I was going to say, the only place for us to start is at Rangers' statement. They've finally issued a statement on Sunday's chaos at Ibrox. Still waiting in Celtic, but Rangers have issued a statement. It's very long and wordy. I can put a couple of grabs up just now for people watching at home. Basically saying we will approach all regulatory engagement responsibility and cooperate fully with the authorities as the facts are established. At the same time, we will represent the club and our supporters robustly. We recognise that many fans want the club to see more at this stage, and supporters should be assured that we, across the detail of the issues being discussed and the questions being raised. They also say earlier on in the statement, we condemn it unequivocally, and at the end basically say that the legacy of the Ibrox disaster are deeply personal to the club. We were appalled to discover the graffiti referencing this tragedy. To desecrate their memories vile. It's cowardly, it's shameful. This is not football rivalry and it's not banter. And it also goes on to say tens of thousands of people attended Ibrox on Sunday simply to support their team with pride and to watch a football match. We will not accept a narrative that ignores the full context of what happened. So I'm breaking it down a wee bit. The full statement's out there if you guys want to read it. It's on Record Sport online now. But Rangers have put their head above the parapet 4 days after, 4 days later, but there you go.
Yeah, it is. It's I'm not going to say too little, too late. It's too late, certainly. They should have taken ownership of this, as I've said. You wonder sometimes for two big clubs, sometimes their PR departments are mystifying. However, what I would say is now the main thrust of that statement, for my take from it anyway, Daniel, was Rangers are welcoming what they call an independent review into all the circumstances around everything went on, all the actions and decisions. I would imagine that involves the police and you know their part in this. But also they're putting their hands up and saying, you know, they've got questions that they should be answering as a football club. I'm sure that as part of that, you know, Celtic have got questions to answer. Rangers are saying, yep, we have to have this independent review. That's the key word in it, independent. And the actions, as I said, the way the game was policed, the initial decision to hand over a full 7,500 allocation, I'm sure that will come into it. I totally welcome it. I would like to have seen Rangers come out a little bit harder, a little bit sooner, maybe a little bit more condemnation for some of the scenes that we saw with their own supporters who took part in what happened on the pitch. But broadly speaking, it's an adult statement. It's unlike what previous statements we may have seen from previous Rangers boards. And the kind of main thrusting point of it is they are you know, they would welcome an independent review of all the circumstances. And I think that's exactly what should happen. And I hope that we'll see something soon from Celtic agreeing to take part in something similar, because we can't have this. It was completely unacceptable and it can't happen again. So whatever mistakes were made along the way, let's get to the root of them. Let's work it out and let's make sure that these same mistakes aren't repeated. So broadly speaking, I think that's a good statement from Rangers. Positive.
What do you make of it, Mick, yourself?
Yeah, it looks like the SFA compliance officer has had one look at this and ran an absolute mile, because the SFA are the ones saying that they're going to commission this independent review into it all. And you know what, I understand it's probably too big. It's too big for the compliance officer to take on themselves. So yeah, it needs it because there's a lot of things went wrong, a lot of bad behaviour, a lot of mismanagement in terms of the police and the stewarding. So that does need to have a proper look at it. Then your statement, yeah, I did. I'm getting a sense that there's kind of adults in the room at Rangers these days. I think. I mean, they're saying they're condemning the disorder, but it didn't actually. What are they condemning? It's a bit vague. I mean, a bit like he's saying there. I mean, they could say, "Listen, we're going to look at our own house as well. We're not happy what happened with the other side, but we have to clear our own shop as well." But again, there's also police investigations on the go, and they can't prejudice that as well. So it's an awkward one for them. And they've given fans the reassurance that they're going to defend the club whether they can do. In there, I think there is a warning to certain groups of Rangers fans that they're going to get in trouble, and they're going to get their collars felt, their palms wrapped, their bodies smacked, you name it. And I think that's because I say that Rangers have got some serious owners in charge now, invested serious money. They don't need any kind of negativity like this derailing their grand plans for the club. So I think they will. I say they've got to be kind of careful. They're not going to go and admit liability on their club's behalf for everything right away, while there's police investigations that would jeopardise certain cases. As we know, there's guys that were lifted for their behaviour on the day. But yeah, reading between the lines, I get there's going to be action within, and yet they've told the rest of the support who, listen, all week we've had the whataboutery. One side saying that lot are worse than this lot, and this lot are worse than that lot. That wouldn't happen if that happened. That happened because of that happened. The thing, but they all do the same thing. They all go, yeah, our guys did A, B, C, D, but they did that.
Yeah.
And see, take away that. Deal with your own A, B, C, D, E as well. You need to deal with that as well as pointing out that. So the clubs need to get their houses in order and deal with their own problems without going, they're worse than us. Look at them, they're worse than us. That doesn't help MD. So independent review might help it. But these things, we've seen it before. I mean, the SFA independent review, if it doesn't fall in a certain way that certain fans like what they read, because they only choose to read what they want, they'll say the SFA are against us as well. And if the cops come and say that, say, well, the cops are against us as well. So, listen, this is the welcome to the wacky world of the old firm, where there's no black and white, there's green and blue, and that's about it.
Yeah, I said last night, Mick, we've now got a situation where you've got Celtic fans blaming the cops and blaming Rangers. You've got Rangers fans blaming Celtic fans and blaming the cops. And you've got the cops blaming Rangers fans and Celtic fans. And nobody in this whole picture has been grown up enough yet to put their hands up and say, by the way, we were out of order. We've got to share the responsibility, and we've got to make sure that our behaviour is better. And I think by having an independent review, hopefully, it bangs a few heads together, albeit metaphorically speaking, and we can get to the root of where it all went wrong, why it all went wrong, and what we need to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. But I'm with you, Mick. I will be astonished and very disappointed if Rangers don't take their own internal action, and I expect it to be quite heavy on the ultras and the Union Bears, who were quite clearly, and they weren't trying to hide it, they were hiding their face under these silly masks, but they're very easily identifiable as to what section of the ground that was. And they were the vast majority of the Rangers supporters that took to the pitch.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to have a really difficult period trying to make sure that their group stays in place and stays intact inside that stadium, because you just had to see the look on Andrew Kavanagh's face as he was standing there in the director's box watching that all unfold. He looked aghast. He looked horrified. And as we said, American sport is very different. And the Americans like to invest in football in the UK because of all these other things. But, it's not American sport. There is rivalry, there's passion, there's all this other stuff that I think fascinates the Americans. But at the same time, you have to remember that these people come from a sporting background where it's families that go to a sporting occasion, and it's barbecues in the car park and cold Budweisers, and everybody gets along And by the end of the day, once you've packed up and went home, nobody can really remember what the score was anyway, whatever it was. Sometimes not even what sport it was they were there to watch. So they come at it from a very different position, and I don't think they will show a tolerance to the extreme behaviour that they witnessed, whether that was from the visiting Celtic fans or from their own.
Yeah, and they'll also listen. You're right. That the section of ultras will come under the spotlight. There's also two grown men who ran on and were grappling with Celtic staff and trying to pick Celtic players. I mean, these guys are now in the long arm of the law. So I mean, these are guys.
That's a matter for the judicial process.
Yeah, guys in their 40s and 50s involved.
It's ridiculous.
So it can't be swept under the carpet. This kind of stuff.
No. But the statement says there. I only had a quick read through it before we come on, but I'm sure the statement refers to the judicial process is now in order, and then anybody found guilty of anything, and you're the ones that specifically you're talking about, Mick, they come in. Now, how easy is it going to be for the police to actually identify the ultras? The ones that you're talking about, the ones that are now part of the judicial process, well, they've already been identified. Police know who they are, the courts know who they are, Rangers know who they are, and it's the easiest thing in the world then, if found guilty, to punish with whatever stadium ban or revoking season ticket, whatever it is that the club decides, whatever measure it is that they decide to take. That's simple enough. What's not so simple is, can these masked idiots be properly identified? Can they be put through the same rigorous legal process? And if that can't happen, then Rangers, if brilliant, by the way, if there's 100 of them that all go through the process, and that makes it really easy. If they can't be identified, if they don't all go through the courts, then Rangers have got a decision to make on a broader basis on what do we do with this group and that section of the stadium.
Well, I've got plenty of comments coming in. If you're watching at home, you want to let us know your thoughts, please do so. Get involved in the conversation. I'll read a few of these out very quickly. Luke Skywalker, as you can see on the screen, says if Andrew Kavanagh had the cojones, he would ban them. I think he means the Union Bears. David says, do you think if this was police better, this might not have happened? Rangers Easy OK says, good statement. 90% of both supporters this week have been dragged through the mud from the usual crowd who hate football fans. The Rosers are hugely to blame. They should be ashamed. Rosers, what a brilliant word. We've got a lot of comments coming in on Stephen Robinson. Smell the Glove says, you'll never hear from Nicholson. He never speaks. Of course, referencing Michael Nicholson, the Celtic CEO, yet to hear from Celtic. And a lot of people, Mark being one of them, says, please talk about football for God's sake. We will get back to that in a wee minute.
I'm with you, Mark, completely.
Exactly. Well, shall we go into football then? There's anything else that we should cover on that? I mean, still waiting on Celtic to make their statement, but...
No, listen, I think we've pretty much said all that we can say now. It's now a matter for action rather than words. I'm glad that Rangers have put their statement out. I'm glad that they're welcoming this independent review. I want it to be more than words. If this is going to be addressed properly, seriously, then there needs to be some significant action now. And whether that's from the police or from the two clubs, they need to make it clear that this can't be tolerated. And I think once again we will highlight one of the questions there: would this have happened if it was properly policed? I think there would have been far less chance of it developing in the manner that it did develop into if it had been properly policed. But again, that's something we've discussed for a few days now, Dan. So that's why it's good that the independent review will also not just look at the fans and their behaviour, but also look at what actions or lack of action that the police were responsible for.
Well, look, we will talk, as I said, a little bit later on about the new Aberdeen manager, Stephen Robinson. We'll also look ahead to a massive week in the Premiership title race. But Keith, earlier on today, you caught up with Rangers legend Barry Ferguson.
Yeah, before this statement came out. So just bear that in mind in the context of this conversation. But actually, do you know what? We actually talk about football for some parts of it as well.
That'll never catch on. Let's hear what Barry had to say. Barry.
Playing at a World Cup, something you never got to do. I know how much that would have meant to you, but just these years and years that we didn't manage to get there. Are you feeling a bit envious? Are you a wee bit jealous of these boys? What an adventure they're about to go on.
Well, I'd be lying if I says I wasn't. It's easy for me to say, oh, my time's been and gone and blah, blah, blah. But of course, listen, it's great getting to Euros, but World Cup, wow. And do you know what? They thoroughly deserve it and go on and embrace it. What an opportunity it is for this group of players. And I'll certainly be supporting in June, hoping that, and if you look at the group, I think we've got a chance. I really do. I'm not just sitting here and just saying it for the sake of saying it.
No.
I do believe that this group of players could get out of the group situation.
I think Barry, there's maybe because we're all kind of think with Scotland and we're just glad to be there and it's brilliant to have gone to a couple of years. We've not done ourselves justice for the simple reason that's Hello.
Oh, back as I was getting a drink. I don't know what's happening.
You may have realised that was the wrong clip. That was a clip that was due for something near the time of the World Cup.
I did think
nearly live in my bathroom there.
I did think talking about the World Cup seems a bit random, but it
would have been a strange first question, wouldn't it?
Aye.
So I don't know if our producer Darryl has got the real clip loaded up and ready to go, or what the sketch is. Have you had any communication?
I was quite enjoying Barry's thoughts on the World Cup. Right enough, it was a nice distraction from this week.
I know.
It is. It was a nice change of pace.
That was quite pleasant for a couple of minutes there, yeah.
So I don't know if we've got that clip, guys, or if you want to carry on.
My information is that it's actually not ready, the clip at the minute, so the viewers will need to make do with us. See, just very briefly on the World Cup, I think Barry's right. I fancy it.
Producer Darryl's having an absolute nightmare.
A meltdown, aye. We on the World Cup, like I say, I fancy us. You can get through with 1-1. Haiti. I know I'm setting us up for a fall there, but
yeah, well, you should calm yourself a little bit. I know that you might have some good news. I think that you might be heading to the World Cup, Dan. A little birdie told me. Try not to get too excited, but I do think this World Cup is almost like you need to throw a 6-6 not to get through the group stages. So no doubt we'll be the ones that find that route. But yeah, it is something to be excited about. And it actually was nice to have that conversation, a sidebar conversation with Barry today, away from all the other stuff. And you remember that, do you know what? The last couple of weeks have been a bit rough for the Scottish game in general. But we've still got this fantastic climax to the league season ahead of us. Hopefully we can box what's happened here off, push it to one side, let it be thoroughly investigated, and now get back to where we left off the season before that Old Firm doubleheader come up, which was just week in, week out, new levels of drama, incredible stuff to look forward to over this run in, and then a World Cup at the end of it. So yeah. But that doesn't excuse the fact that we've just played the wrong clip.
Look, Darryl is working tirelessly behind the scenes to try and get the right one. But in the meantime, you mentioned our title race, Keith. There's the fixtures for this coming weekend. Might as well have a chat about that. Mick, are you going to Celtic Motherwell on Saturday?
I was also through at Hearts this morning to see Derek McInnes for his pre-match press duties this morning. It was interesting catching up with Hearts. It was good to see. And I'm at Parkhead on Saturday. But yeah, Derek was in good form. He doesn't look like a man under pressure, I'll tell you that.
He's also getting his injuries back, isn't he, Mick?
Well, this is the big takeaway from this morning. The big guns are ready to come back soon. I mean, he's not quite yet this weekend for Kilmarnock on Saturday, but I think next weekend he's penciled in Lawrence Shankland and Cammy Devlin for next weekend. Not far behind, there's Stuart Finlay, Stephen Kingsley, the Craig Gordon. I think that one's the one I think still to me sounds a bit iffy, and I'm also back in World Cup territory with that one as well. Just touch wood that he can get himself right for the end of the season.
He's had a second opinion in his shoulder, Mick. Is that right?
He was in London this morning getting a second opinion in his shoulder. This shoulder that's bothering him. It's preventing him doing much training. and they're hoping they're getting they got a wee jag as well. Not the same jags that I'm going to be going on soon. Different kind of jag. A different kind of jag. So they're hoping that helps them get back into training again, which would be crucial. Because listen, at some point we're going to be on Craig Gordon countdown watch for the World Cup. I hope he's going to fit. But yeah, he was in good form. He looks a guy who's quite content with the whole cat. I mean, obviously the last fortnight we've had, back-to-back Old Firm games that have hogged the attention, good and bad.
As well as the outbreak of World War III, so
it ruined his chance. He's hoping for a bit of sunshine out in Dubai, get a bit of warm weather training. But unfortunately, Donald Trump and his pals put paid to that. But they were stuck at the Orion for 2 weeks instead. But no, I said he's in good form. I mean, listen, we keep asking about pressure and all that stuff, and he just seems to be lapping it up. It doesn't seem. What I think he's been good at doing is he's kind of ignoring all the kind of narrative and noise. Everything. Listen, I've known Derek, as we all have for a long time, right? And you try to poke him a wee stick sometimes, and he sees it coming a mile off, and he busts out laughing. He's like, "It doesn't matter, mate. It doesn't matter." But even I know it was last week. I said, "What about Sutty last week? I'm going to go at you." And he's like, "Yeah, away you go. Peace." So you think I'm falling at that one? He says, "No." So even that kind of stuff. As I say, he was in good form. He said, "Unfortunately, it's not me too long to get to fall for my nonsense."
See if you look at the table there, guys. And I know I keep flashing this up, and it was Mick. I was good from David Taylor. Hearts are tantalisingly close now, like so close. From the remaining 9 games, we've said this before, but I mean, 5 wins and a draw or 2 draws gets them above 80 points?
Yeah, listen, I think this could be a significant weekend. I really do. I think that Hearts don't like travelling to Rugby Park. I don't think they like the pitch. The certainly recent history, the results haven't been great. I think if Hearts can get in and out of town by posting another 3 points on the board this weekend, I think that could be hugely significant, because I do think that, well, something's got to give between Celtic and Motherwell. Hearts have got quite, when they looked at Celtic going to Ibrox in the league, they'd have been sitting back going, "Do you know what? A draw would just be the perfect result." Derek McInnes would have sat rubbing his hands at the outcome of that one, unlikely as it seemed at half-time. And I wonder if he might just get something similar this weekend when Motherwell go to Celtic Park. I think that looks like a really tricky game for Celtic. I know it's at home, but we've looked at Motherwell. Motherwell just go and play their game. Whether it's at Fir Park, whether it's at Celtic Park. In fact, there's a little bit that makes them even enjoy playing at Celtic Park, because it's wide open, because of the space they've got to play in. And this Celtic team left Ibrox on its knees in terms of who's available, manpower-wise. They've been operating without a centre forward. The new signings don't look anywhere near good enough. Martin O'Neill is dragging them towards the finishing line. And I just think that, especially for a Motherwell side which had a little dent at Dundee last time out, I think they'll go to Celtic Park desperate to put on a performance. And that's the thing about this Motherwell team. 9 times out of 10, maybe even more than that, they're guaranteed to put on the performance. So I think that could, and if Hearts can take 3 points at Rugby Park, and Celtic and Motherwell were to get a draw, regardless of what happens when Rangers go to St Mirren, I think that still constitutes another positive step, another bit closer towards the Holy Grail for Hearts. I
mean, McKinnon in the comments there, you can see, pointing out that McGregor is out for Celtic in the Motherwell game. Yeah. So game on for Hearts. Marzuno is very confident, a Celtic man, saying we always pump them at Celtic Park. I would be very surprised if it goes that way on Saturday.
It wasn't a pumping the last time. It was another one of these last-minute jobs, and Motherwell were terrific that day. And that wasn't under the Wilfred Nancy one at Fir Park, which was, I mean, an absolute doing.
Yeah.
In terms of Hearts got Kelly, away to Kelly, home to Dundee, away to Livy, next 3 games. If they get 9 points from these next 3 games, they are going to be within touching distance. Yeah. They could be 2 wins away from winning a title. So this next 3 games for Hearts are absolutely massive. They can take a huge step towards it, regardless of what the rest of them do. I think we're now at the point that Hearts are going to take some beating now. What the caveat is, we don't know how they're going to react under severe stress when it is getting close, because we just don't know. We haven't got a body of work to kind of to judge it against.
Yeah.
So how they react under extreme stress is when we'll find out. But at the moment, they have got an opportunity of a lifetime here to go and do something we haven't seen in a generation in Scotland. And I get the feeling from the manager that he's enjoying it. He might get to a point where he's not so enjoying it when it is a bit much. There's been a few moments when he's enjoyed it quite a lot, as Sutty mentioned last week, and listen, I think quite rightly so. But yeah, these 3 games I think are absolutely massive. Celtic are hanging on with their fingernails. I think the Motherwell game is fraught with danger, especially Motherwell getting beat last week at Dundee, surprisingly. Losing at Dundee last week. Probably shouldn't be surprised, because Dundee have been terrific at times. I think under Elvis have really turned it around. Are capable of doing some good things on their day. Motherwell have got a tricky run. I know people are saying they're going to be kingmakers and all that stuff. They've got a difficult wee spell coming up. I think they've got Hibs coming up as well, who could be in their coattails if we don't win.
They go to Newcastle before the split as well.
That's what I'm saying. After these 3 games for Hearts, Kelly, Dundee, and then Livy, then it's Motherwell before the split. So if they can get 10 points out of 12 from those games, get the maroon ribbons out for the top.
They're almost there. From a Rangers perspective, guys, I'm glad to tell you that the Barry Ferguson clip is now ready, and he believes. So we were having this conversation earlier. He believes that if Rangers are to win this title now, they have to win 9 in a row. They need to win their last 9 games on the bounce to have any chance. So let's have a listen to what Barry said. Barry, obviously it's been a difficult few days at Rangers, given the way that the Old Firm thing culminated at the weekend, bad scenes. I know the club haven't come out and spoken about it, which probably doesn't make it any easier for you, but just give us your reflections on, the 2 Old Firm games and obviously the way that last one ended, because it wasn't nice to see.
Well, it certainly wasn't a great week, if I'm being honest with you. Obviously, the league game being so dominant in the first half, been 2-0 up, and then obviously second half, Celtic made a few changes. It certainly worked once they got that goal back from Kieran Tierney. They kind of put Rangers under a lot of pressure and get the penalty kick at the end, and then obviously you move a week later into the cup game, and another game that Rangers totally dominated without being clinical, if I'm being brutally honest with you, goes into penalties. And then obviously Celtic win the penalties 4-2, and then the aftermath was... I've got a few words I could describe it, Jacko. It was pretty sad, if I'm being honest with you. I was a bit numb at it, and I went inside after a couple of minutes because I couldn't believe what I was watching, if I'm being honest.
It was a really hard watch, and it doesn't do much for the reputation of the game. And it's been such a brilliant Scottish season. For that to grab the headlines in the manner which it leaves a bad taste in the mouth, I think. You mentioned in your column that I've seen for tomorrow, Barry, is, I think you've said the one overriding thought in your head is there's loads of kids all over the stadium and both ends of the pitch. That's a horrible thing for young kids to have to see.
I'll be honest with you, when it was happening, that was my thought process, because I looked round about us and I seen so many youngsters at the game, and for them having to experience it and being in danger, basically. So, yeah, just with obviously what happened on the pitch after the game, the vandalism, everything that goes with it. Now, I'm not wanting to get people's knickers in a twist here. I'm not blaming one end or the other here. It wasn't a nice watch, if I'm being honest with you. And as I said to you, sad, numb, flat. Obviously, we're getting put out in the quarter final, but obviously the aftermath, it's not what you like to see. And I'm always banging on about Rangers Celtic games. In my opinion, listen, I'm just been biased probably, but I think it's the best derby in the world. But just seeing that after it, and obviously it being on TV, and now it's the talk of the steamy, isn't it? Let's be honest.
You've also been one, Barry, that's said for a long time, the sooner they get back to maximum allocations for away fans, the better with this fixture. Does what you see the weekend, does that change your stance on that?
Well, it's not going to happen, let's be honest, is it? I was, what was that? Was it 7 or 8 years since it had been full allocation for the away team? And I was really looking forward to it. I know I can just give my opinion on me being a player and me sampling that, walking out Ibrox, having the 3 stands, my own supporters, and obviously your rivals having one full stand. And in my opinion, it just made the game even that much better. Mm-hmm. It was a joy to play in, and I was really looking forward to it. With being at the game, I was in early, and it was a brilliant atmosphere before it. Let's be honest. But in the game, as I said, Rangers were really dominant, but not having that clinical edge, that ruthlessness in front of goal, and then losing it, which is always difficult in penalties. But then just seeing what happened after it, I just, as I said, I was a mixture of emotions. There wasn't any anger. It was just a bit numb.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's the best way I could describe it.
I kind of think, Barry, that has carried on through these last few days. We've seen the police up at Holyrood House having to explain what they did or what they didn't do, more importantly. I just feel it's left a bit of gloom, a bit of a cloud over everything. Your remedy for Rangers, from a Rangers perspective, you think the only way to kind of lift the clouds and spike through the gloom is to go and win the last 9 league games of the season. Is that achievable for this Rangers side?
Well, it has to be. You've got one more bit of silverware to go. You've got 9 games. Look, the game against St Mirren, albeit I've seen they've lost their manager the day to Aberdeen, I don't think that'll make a difference because it's always a tough place to go.
Yeah.
But the fans will be there in their numbers. And my mindset would, you need to empty the tank. You need to leave everything out there. You need to go for it. You've got 27 points. I think there will be twists and turns, but there can't be any twists and turns from a Rangers point of view. There can't be any more. You can't rely on other teams. They'll never do you any favours. You've got to focus on number one. That's Rangers. Go and do your job. And that starts on Sunday. We're getting 3 points against St Mirren. Now, I don't care how you get that. Just get it. And then deal with what's coming next, and that'll be Aberdeen at home.
When you say empty the tank, I take it you're meaning it's kind of win or bust at this point in the season.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. I don't care if St Mirren score 1 goal, you score 2. If St Mirren score 2, you score 3. I don't care. We need to go for it, Rangers. I'm sure I'll understand that. The supporters will be demanding that. And as I said, they're still certainly in a title fight. I did say on Sunday it would give whoever won it a boost of confidence. It's clear Celtic will get that. But again, you can't think about Celtic. You have to think about yourself. And that starts on Sunday. And make sure you find a way to get that 3 points.
When you look at that Celtic side, right, and you know, as you said, Barry, Rangers were the dominant team, and probably 3 halves of the 4 halves of those games and the extra time period. So Rangers have been dominant. Celtic look as if they were kind of hanging on, especially in the cup tie at Ibrox. It's a kind of shadow make weight Celtic side just now. Do you see them taking that sort of boost in momentum and being able to improve, or do you think they're just hanging in here by the skin of their teeth?
No, I'm sure they'll take confidence. But look, the man who's in charge of Celtic has certainly made a difference. Like, they've not been playing well. I think if you ask Martin O'Neill himself or any Celtic player or any Celtic supporter, they've not been playing well, but they're finding a way to get results. And at the end of the day, I would rather not play well and get the 3 points. It's a bonus for me if you play well. You're in this game, and certainly when you're at a club like Rangers, you're in it to win it. That's the way I look at it. It's very basic. I know that, but that's the way it is.
And do you think there's enough of the players? I mean, you know some of these guys in the dressing room, Barry. Is there enough of them with the same sort of mentality, win at all costs?
Well, I'm sure they'll realise that because, listen, they've been there long enough. I mean, I can only speak for the guys that I managed.
Yeah.
And I certainly know them, and I know their capabilities, and I know that they're boys that will give their all. I don't know the new. Look, I know the new ones. I've passed by and I've shook their hand and had maybe a quick minute or two chat with them, but I don't know them personally, so it's difficult for me to say that. But I would expect the ones who have been there, and I know I hear people saying they've been there and they've not won things, but I was inside for 3 months and I see what it meant to these guys, and I seen how much work they put in, and I certainly believe in them. I can't talk for the new ones because I've not managed them. I really got to know them. But listen, the proof will be in the pudding in the next 9 games. This is the real business end of the season. This is where it really matters now. Yeah, I try and take the positives out. I'd be hurting all week. I wouldn't be able to talk to anybody. I'd be wanting to just get my head down and work ever so hard to make sure that come Sunday that I was coming away from Paisley with 3 points. That's the way that I would be going about my business. Make sure it hurts. It should hurt. But
Barry Ferguson there, guys, in the comments. 7 Levels says, Hearts bottle crash, watch this space. John says, Rangers have 0 chance of winning the league title. Recent form proves this. But the Goon Platoon says, Rangers are the only team unbeaten in the last 5 games. 1 point behind Celtic, yet Celtic supporters dismissed them. They can all write us off at your peril. Rangers still in this one?
Oh, yeah, they're definitely still in it. But it's on a game-by-game basis now, really, isn't it? It's going to depend on the reaction to the last couple of games. What does the reaction look like? Are the Rangers players that are feeling sorry for themselves? There've been certainly lots of questions asked, as I just said to Barry there, about mentality. There's a lot of doubts over that. Have they got the bottle for this? Have they got the stomach for it? Well, we're about to find out. But there's a reason why these questions are being asked, and it's because over the course and distance they keep coming up short. So have the new signings, do they come into this with a kind of fresh view and a fresh attitude? Can they help spark something? But the bottom line for Rangers is they're going into this, they're going to have to build momentum over this run-in now from a standing start. Whereas if they'd taken care of business after going 2-0 up against Celtic, they'd be flying into this, regardless really of what happened in the cup game. They would be in a real strong place mentally for the league. The fact that they blew that opportunity. Look, it's very simple, Daniel. When they go out against St Mirren this weekend, there's going to be a lot of people, their own supporters included, looking at them and saying, right, what have you got? Are you cut out for this? Are you made for this? Or are you going to fade away? And we'll only know for sure once the ball starts rolling in Paisley. Celtic, I think, as I said, I think it's going to be a real difficult game against Motherwell. If they can find a way, even without the key players that they'll be without, if they can find a way to take care of that game and emerge with the 3 points, it's absolutely game on for them, isn't it, under Martin O'Neill? I mean, and again, we come back to Hearts. Hearts know that Kilmarnock away, despite where Kilmarnock are in the league, Hearts know this is a big game, a real tough one. So if they can just find a way of getting in and out of town with 3 points, it's a massive step forward for them.
A couple of people reminding us that St Mirren beat Hearts, remember, Mick, but obviously they've lost their manager going into this one, which can only be, a positive, you'd imagine, for Rangers going into this. Yeah,
I don't actually agree with Barry saying they need to win 9 out of 9. I don't think they do. To win 29 out of 9, they get 27 points. They'll finish 84 points. If Rangers get 84 points, they win the league by about 7 points. Well, I'll put it this way, right? I mean, at the moment, win nine games, to win 9 league games in a row, that's not happened this season. Rangers have won at one point, they won 6 in a row when Danny Rowe hit his little purple patch. They won 6.
And it's worth saying, Mick, they've only won 3 of the last 9 in all competitions.
I was getting to that. A pile of research here and I'm building it up. So they've won 6 games in a row at one point this season. Hearts have also won 6 games in a row. That's the most they've won in a row at any point this season. Celtic have won 5 in a row once this season on their Neil's first spell. He come back. So no team has won 9 games in a row in the league this season. When there's no pressure, they're not going to do it when there is pressure. No. At the moment, Rangers have won 3 out of 10 in all competitions. Celtic have won 2 and 6 in all competitions. Hearts have won 4 out of 7. So Hearts losing to Rangers was a bump, but they're the ones that have actually won the most games and over the piece. So they've won 4 out of 7. None of them are going to win 9 out of 9. There's no evidence to suggest that that's going to happen. So I don't think 84 points is going to be required to win this league. I've been saying 80 for about 2 months. I now think 80 is probably the high end. I think there's going to be points dropped all over the place here, and it might end up being a 78-point winning season, which would be amazing, really. But you look at the fixtures, and there's teams everywhere with something to fight for. I mean, the bottom of the league, I think Livy are probably now gone. But you look at Kilmarnock, St Mirren, Aberdeen. These teams are a Dundee. These teams all need to avoid that playoff. They're all fighting for their lives. You don't want to play any of these teams. You'd rather play Hibs and Dundee United than you would play against Kilmarnock or St Mirren.
Yeah, that's true.
I say Mull will get something to play for. These teams are all in the fight. So I think there's going to be points spilled all over the place. I really do.
I would say as well, St Mirren, I know the table never lies, but they're a better team than third from bottom.
Who's that, sorry?
St Mirren, I think they're a much better team than their position shows. They should never be third from bottom.
They've had a real trough, and the manager leaving doesn't help that. They've had injuries to key performers throughout the season. I'm sure Stephen Robinson would point to that. They're not in a great place. But I think, Rangers, their recent form away from home hasn't been good. I think if Rangers were to drop points in Paisley, I think there's a lot of Rangers fans that would then think that's not the form away from home doesn't indicate that they can be serious challengers going into the final stretch. So for all those reasons, that's why Rangers need to go there and pick themselves up, dust themselves down. They need to send out a message this weekend. Whether or not they've got it within them to do that, I'm not sure that they do. But that's why belt yourselves back in, because here we go again. As Mick says, it's a hear 'em, scare 'em running this.
The very last comment that I should put up is, as a Rangers supporter, we have no chance. Tavernier as apprentice will see that. That's Alistair Ramage, who likes to get in touch every night and try and make sure that James Tavernier is going to get binned any day now. Very last thing, guys. Stephen Robinson, we've touched on it all through the show, but he is now the new Aberdeen manager. 3-year deal. He did all the photos today outside Pittodrie. We've got some comments that have come in on this. Bob wants to know, he's a big Aberdeen man, is Stephen Robinson good enough to manage either Glasgow Giant, the press in Glasgow appear to reckon so? Aside from that question, guys, just generally, good appointment?
I'll reserve judgment. Do you know something? We're about to find out a lot about Stephen Robinson. I think my concern would be that I'm not sure that he can. I think he's very comfortable at the level that he's at. If you know what I mean, I don't think he minds the ducking and diving and the scrambling about and spinning plates and keeping a squad, or not even keeping a squad together, losing a bunch of players, recruiting a bunch of players, going again. He's been brilliant at it. This is a different skill set that will require a bigger club. You've got bigger budgets. You hopefully should be able to do a bit more. It's not firefighting all the time. You should hopefully be looking to build a squad, to have players for the longer term. We've not seen this. It's a different challenge for him. Now, has he been terrific at St Mirren? He absolutely has. But there's a different set of requirements now for taking Aberdeen to the next level. And he's going to have to do that against the backdrop of a support that don't want him there. And that's very unfortunate and very challenging for him I would imagine.
He said today, Mick, in his unveiling that, look, even if Jurgen Klopp got appointed, there'd be people saying that they don't want him.
I'm not sure about that.
With the best will in the world.
Listen,
if
Keith,
Jurgen Klopp got
I
appointed.
live in Aberdeen. He's probably right, to be honest with you. Oh, Jurgen Klopp! Oh no! I could believe that. I think it's a terrific appointment. I really do. I think Stephen Robinson deserves his crack at a club like Aberdeen. People will talk about his style of football. Does he play that way because he's on one of the lowest budgets in the league? That's at Mullen and at Motherwell. He's effective. What he'll do is a wee bit like he gets the same kind of criticism that Derek McInnes got when he was at certain clubs. But what he will do, like McInnes, there'll be a base level that Aberdeen will perform at, and it'll be much higher than it is now. It'll be guaranteed top 6. If he does well, it'll be higher. I think he's a great appointment. The one thing I fear about him is he's walking into a situation behind the scenes that is not going to be ideal, because having spent 2 months scouring the globe and going through his world-class contacts book, the director of football has stumbled across the guy in Paisley who was looking for that job about 3 months ago. So that situation is now pretty much going to be untenable, really. You got to admit. We've also got the recruitment team back in there as well. So Robinson, who has his own kind of recruitment set up for the years that have worked really well, he's now going to kind of work with that department. I see he's a head coach, isn't he?
I saw that, head coach.
I'm always when I see that, I'm always kind of.
No, me too.
A wee bit, because Stephen Robinson's a guy who likes to have control over everything and every facet of his club. I think they need to trust him. I mean, having Alan Burrows there, who worked with him at Motherwell, I think will help that. This is where it leaves the finance team. I don't know where it leaves him. His legs cut off, it looks like to me from a side. So that's interesting. But in terms of a coach and a manager, I think Aberdeen will want to watch. I think he'll get away from trouble, no bother, and I think he'll set a bar at a certain level, and then let him see how he goes high above that bar. I think it's I think it's a sensible move that should have been done back in January. I don't know why they had to muck about chasing guys around the globe. I think they should have made that phone call on day one. Personally, I think John McGlynn as well should have been a guy getting that job up there. Where he would took that, I don't know. John, I think John at some point somebody's going to phone in for him as well. He's done an amazing job at Falkirk.
Maybe St Mirren.
I don't know. I think I think he's quite comfortable as he is now for professional and for personal reasons. So I don't know, but I think at some point he should have been asked. I don't think he was particularly chased, which I think is weird. I mean, again, chasing the shiny wee toys in the world when there's two great candidates on the doorstep. They've appointed one of them, which is a first thing. Is not a bad move. Aberdeen fans need to give him a chance. But Aberdeen fans have had managers before they didn't like when they signed them, and eventually grew to love them. I get back Jimmy Calderwood when he first went to the door. Everyone knew his allegiances and all that stuff. Jimmy left a hero. Not when he left, but in retrospect, he became much loved. Jimmy up there. I think Derek McInnes maybe had a bit of resistance at first as well. Again, delivered big time for them. Again, looks even better in hindsight than his period when he actually left. So I think he can win them over. Aberdonians, I was told when I moved up there that they're quite cold at first, but once you become their pal, they're your pal for life. I didn't stay long enough to figure that one out, but apparently that's how it works up there.
Look, I agree with you, Mike. I think he's a brilliant manager, but also do kind of see your point, Keith, that it's a different kind of platform that he's having to perform on now. It's different. It's
a different environment, and Mick makes a very good point about that club doesn't feel as it should do behind the scenes. I don't know if they're all aligned, and I don't know if there are people that are going to try and cut his grass in terms of limiting his influence and what he wants to do. Then I think it becomes really difficult. So all these things in the background will have to be right. But we've seen his body of work at Motherwell and what he's done at St Mirren's been terrific. If he's allowed to manage the football club, then Aberdeen are in good hands. If he's not, then an already difficult situation might become a little bit worse.
Absolutely. Well, look, time will tell. Massive game for them at the weekend, and we'll be back to report on it and all the other Premiership goings on Sunday. What time will be Sunday, Keith? I know Rangers kick off at 12 o'clock in St Mirren. Are we going for our usual 6 p.m?
I thought we were, a 6 p.m. slot on Sunday, Dan. Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me. We'll be back on Sunday. We hope you can join us then. But for now, Mick, it's always an absolute pleasure.
As always, chaps. Catch you later on.
Thanks very much for joining us. Hope you have a lovely weekend. And Keith, see you later. Thanks for watching. I'm only kidding. You have a lovely weekend as well, Keith.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks for watching. Hope you can join us Sunday. Cheers.
Cheers.